Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today's video I'll be doing a demonstration reading, but I wanted to mention a few things. Elbrit, one of my subscribers, commented on my previous video of the Eduardo Dotti Lombardi Tarot of 1865, printed by Deviant Moon Inc, Patrick Valenza, and asked about the cardstock. And I never really touched on it in that video, so I wanted to start this one out by mentioning it. The cardstock is not along the lines of Il Meneghello or Giordano Berti, or Sullivan Hissman's. It is a slate laminate. There was no information on the cardstock in the box. It's got a sheen, but not a shine, so it's not highly laminated. So it has a sheen, but it's got cornered edges, but it feels good. Now, I'm not one to typically riffle shuffle art decks. I'm just not. But I'm going to put this one aside for a second. But I do like to riffle shuffle my workhorse decks because I know I can get good shuffling in without damaging the cards. And especially if I do several readings a day, I don't have to worry about damaging the cards. So if you are a tarot reader and not just a collector, right? And you enjoy having workhorse decks, then I think the cardstock is great. Plus, it gives you an opportunity to purchase a deck. I think I only paid $35 for this deck, plus maybe whatever shipping was. So it gives us an opportunity to own a beautiful deck without having to go into the art deck, money stratosphere. Now, in my previous video on the Dotti, I mentioned that it reminded me of the Trieste, but it's infinitely more luscious than the Trieste. I pulled the Trieste just to show this, and these were the first two cards that I noticed, so I put them together to show. But the Dotti is infinitely more luscious, and I waited a long time to get the Trieste. I really wanted this deck, and I do love it, but the Dotti is, in my opinion, just a lot nicer. And before I get into a demonstration, I think Albert also asked me to show some of Deviant Moon's regular playing card decks, aside from their tarot. And this is the only one I have. This is the only regular playing card deck I have from Deviant Moon. I have several of Patrick's Valenza's other decks, and including, I think, three historics, but I think he has one historic that I don't have. And this is the only playing card. So as an extra bonus at the end of the video, I'll go card by card to show you this deck because it's a lot of fun. Okay, so let's get to a question. Let me shuffle and handle the cards off camera, and then I'll come back. I want to make sure I don't have these upside down, and I'll come back to do a demonstration. Okay, so I handled and mixed the cards off camera, and now these are just a few shuffles to show that I'm not staging the reading or anything like that. I've decided to do an actual reading for myself. So I'll give a little bit of a backstory. At this stage in my life, I am the power of attorney, both medical and financial, for a loved one who is incapacitated. And I've been his person in charge of his life for, I guess, 6 years now. And it's a pretty heavy burden. It's a burden I'd rather not have a lot of the time. It preoccupies almost every hour of my day, it crosses my mind. Whenever the phone rings, there's, a heavy burden on my heart. But somebody's got to do this for him. And it seems like I'm the one. So, but I often, wish to be relieved of the burden, which makes me, which lends me to feel not nice, because it's not a nice feeling to have. At any rate, there's going to be a pretty significant meeting on Tuesday because his caregivers are finding it increasingly difficult to deal with him because one of his issues is that he's socially, what's the word? He's socially unable to be pleasant. He has, he's autistic, an autistic adult. He's 60 years old. And he's, the way he's turned out, despite, everyone's best efforts, he's really turned out to be bitter and nasty and mean. So it goes without saying that I really dread this meeting because it's just one more problem, to add to my burdens. And at any rate, I think I just want to get a general feel for this meeting. How I might approach him to have him understand that we all need him to be more pleasant, to try to be more pleasant. What are the things that I should avoid with him as an argument? What things I should focus on as an argument? Because a lot of it depends on him, right? I mean, I can throw all the money in the world at his situation, but if he's not being a pleasant individual, there's not much I could do for him because caregivers just don't want to deal with him, right? So I just want to know, what I can do to best facilitate this effort to have him be, more agreeable, and the outcome, of course, of the meeting. I just like to get a feel of the essence of how this meeting will go. I'm deciding to do a tirage en croix, which is a 5-card spread, and typically and usually I would only use the trump cards or the triumph cards, because I believe that was the way that the spread was intended when it was created by, excuse my memory, the Swiss Oswald Worth. But I'm going to use this full deck because you can do the spread with a full deck, and so I'm just deciding to use the full deck. So let me lay the cards, and we'll get on with it. To refresh your memories, the first position is, what are the pros? What are the things that work on your behalf? Well, it's the 5 of Swords. Wasn't that just the card that I used to compare to the Trieste? The second card, the second position, is the cons, right? What to avoid. In this case, what dialogue to avoid in dealing with him and trying to reach him. I'm going to move this box out of the way, but in the meanwhile, I'll show it to you. The Metelli by Giordano Berti will be probably the next video I'll do. The third position is what to focus on, right? What to focus on. The fourth is the likely outcome And then the fifth card, the fifth position, is the quintessential message, right? And this was how the spread was created by Oswald Wirth, where he added the numeric value of the trump cards because he only used the trumps, and then chose the card, between 0 and 21 for the quintessential message. Now, he did this by adding up the numbers, subtracting 22 if it was greater than 22, whereby he would be able to get 0 for the Fool and, all the other numbers in 21. So let's see what we have here. We have 5 and 10, that's 15. 15 and the Queen. I don't count a Queen I don't count the courts as having numeric value. So we have 15 and 20 gives us 35. So 35 minus 22, my brain is toast, is 13, which would be the Death card. So we'll pull the Death card, and that will be the Quint. Of course, it'll be like the last card. Now, the Quint, it can enhance or give you a little bit of direction. Sometimes it can clarify, it can clarify, the outcome card or modify it. I probably passed it and didn't even notice it. And it gives you another chance to look at these cards because they're just so beautiful. Aren't they just gorgeous? Here it is. So we'll put that in the center. Now the Quint, being the Death card, kind of hits a little bit of a nerve with me because sometimes in my moments of despair, I'll say, the only way this is going to end is with one of us dying, right? And I don't want it to be me because I want to live, right? But then the alternative is him. So I think, it's really hitting home, and this is very personal, and I don't know if I'm actually going to end up showing this, but death is in the background of this question and this dynamic, right? Death is an underlying feature, It's like the only relief, for example, it's like the only relief. So, and some of you who have ever taken care of someone who is unable to care for themselves, I physically am unable to take care of him, physically, and not because he has many, many, many needs. And not only that, but I'm unable psychologically and emotionally to take care of him on a daily basis. So I depend greatly on the caregivers in the facility where he is. Which is why I want to support them, right, and go and have meaningful dialogue to hopefully reach him, which seems, in a way, to be futile. Okay, working on my behalf, the thing I should mention or how I should maybe direct the conversation with him, it's going to be painful. I'm going to have to use words that pierce, right? 5 is an unstable number. The Suit of Swords is a little bit of an assertion. So I have to be assertive with him. He has to know that I mean business, right? Now, you'll notice that in the cons, it's twice the weight of the 5, right? So I don't want to go overboard, to completely, it's important to completely not be cruel, and being frustrated or angry. So to keep keep control of my, maybe anger and frustration to a midpoint, enough for him to see that I mean business, right? Enough to put him out of his comfort zone of like, everything's okay, sweetheart, to say, cut this shit out, excuse my French. But not enough, to go over and to be cruel, which is not in my character. I can be. I mean, I have been cruel in my life, and those are the times that I deeply regret in my life, is times that I haven't been kind, right? So I have learned to check that aspect of myself, but it's a reminder not to go into a cruel zone. What to focus on? Well, compassion. We have the Queen of Cups here. So to remember compassion and to broach him with compassion. But I am an authority. I am the authority of his life, So, to tap into the better qualities of myself. To present the material to him. Now, the likely outcome is interesting with the Death card, because, once you die, of course, you're called to be held accountable, right? But aside from that aspect, I think the focus is for him to be held accountable for his behavior, and to direct my conversation with him. It's kind of like a last ditch effort, in trying to, because these people won't take care of him anymore, and I have to drive home that he has to be held accountable. Like, there's only so much another human being can do for him, and the rest is up to him, and he has to be held accountable. Now, if this, as the likely outcome, might not actually be the outcome of the situation, but it might be, the gist of my presence and my conversation with him in their presence, to drive home the point that ultimately he has to be held accountable, and I have to hold him accountable, and I think this is good advice, and I'll definitely use it. I'll keep all of this in mind, and this is why I love tarot, because it really gives great advice. I don't, I don't subscribe to, reading tarot for fortune telling, although, there's a time and place for that. I mean, it can be a lot of fun, at parties, or just it can be a lot of fun to do things like that, but that's not the power, of tarot. The power of tarot in my, and how I've been at it for a really, really, really long time, and how I've come to feel about it, is how to get information to best handle situations for myself and for other people when, maybe I don't know what to do. Okay, so as promised, I'm going to show the other deck published by Patrick Valencia, which I didn't show in the in my previous video of Deviant Moon's other decks. This one is just a regular playing card deck. Well, it's anything but regular. It's called the Royal Mischief Playing Cards, and it has a different card stock. It's highly laminated. It's got a nice shine, and I don't have a problem against laminated cards. It's not an issue for me. But again, it's not, like the card stock you would find with Il Meneghello or Giordano Berti or, Sullivan Hissman's Tarot Sheet Revival. I mean, it's a laminated card deck. Okay, so this is a 52 card deck. I think there's an extra card in here somewhere, and I'll point it out when we get to it. It comes with 2 jokers. Oh, here are the backs. And one is, they're different colors. One is more black and gray. Oh my. And the other, it is a more formally or more politely dressed jester. It's very clever how Patrick has, Oodles of Doodles, has incorporated the suits in some of these images. You know, for example, this is her scarf or her ascot or whatever that is, as the ace of spades. And she appears to be doodling, just like the card says. Okay, now this one is the sideways smoke break. And the two spades are incorporated as lips. And this smoke. And if you were to use this deck for cartomancy, you know, which I haven't, but it could, I mean, it very easily lends itself to that, you know, like reminder that, you know, something that you might be partaking in, you know, is not good for your health, you know, something that you are doing with another person, that maybe you feed one another, right? Or maybe you, you know, a dynamic you share with another person, kind of like, what's it called when you, an enabler, you know, like an enabling dynamic maybe. So I think these cards really do lend themselves very well. Let's see. Meanies and bikinis. I mean, he's very clever in how he incorporates the suits. And here we have musicians and dance, a dance marathon. I mean, how clever is, oh, that's just great. Very, very clever. Voodoo masks. Oh, you know what? And I'm not sure. I think it's in the suit of spades that we have a double. Oh, it might be this card, as a matter of fact. Now, we have a six of spades, where the spades are embellishments on, you know, embroidery, and then embellishments on the shoes. You know, but this one is blue, right? And then we have another six of spades. And now what's this one say? This top one says upskirt action, and this one says bird breath. So I'm not sure why there are two six of spades, unless one of these, this one that's different, is like an extra they gave, you know, for another deck to whet our appetites. So I don't really know. But I think this is the one that comes with the deck because it matches. So I think you probably would agree with me that it's very clever. I don't know if I would play a game with these. She's dead at last. Oh my. I don't know that I would ever play a card game with these, but I would use them for, I guess, fortune telling or in the right situation. I mean, customers don't come to me, you know, for, you know, playing card, you know, readings. They come to me for tarot readings. So I don't use this typically, but, you know, it really is a great deck. And it does lend itself very well, I think, to cartomancy. Okay, moving on to the suit of hearts. And again, you know, the shape of the heart, you know, is incorporated in the image. Big mouth. And, you know, a lot of the cards are sideways. Lover's spat. Yeah, you know, we see the big, you know, the emphasis on the lips, you know, so the lover's spat could be, you know, the dangerous words or the hurtful words you use with another person, for sure. Moonlight wedding. Butterflies played in her hair for 4. More bugs. Rare specimens. Elegant escorts. Schooling the little devils. So with the keywords written on there, or the little expressions or whatever, it kind of lends itself to, being an oracle deck, really, right? The 2, 4, 6, 8. School of Fish. 9. Where's the language? Oh, there it is. Drunken Fools, which makes sense, is the 9. A little bit too much liquid, right? If you associate the Suit of Cups with hearts, then this card makes a little bit of sense in that. But it's restrictive, right? I mean, if again, when there's keywords on cards, or if there's a whatever the image is what you read the deck, so it would lead you to read it a certain way, which eliminates other possibilities. Poised for battle. And then the Courts, the Page, Queen, and the King. We have the real emphasis on the Suicide King here. Okay, the Ace of Clubs, wigged out. So girlfriends. Beastly ballerinas. Even the devil needs rest. Something deadly grows in the garden. Oh my. Cosmic creatures. Spoiled eggs. Humpty Dumpty there. Birds of a feather. Has a little bit of an tessellation look, doesn't it? Gossiping housewives. Braided beauty. And then the Courts. And I believe this is the last suit. Isn't that so clever? The diamond, the Ace of Diamonds in the shape of the book. I think that's so cool. A proper read. And if you think of the suit of diamonds, equate it to the suit of coins or earth, a proper education is something that you could buy with coin, right? Not everybody relates the suits of the playing cards to the tarot. Grandma's Grimace. So, that might not work. That might not work for a lot of people. Shark bait. Oh, so cool. Again, like I could see this. Don't fall into the trap, right? Like dangerous verbiage, right? Like don't fall into their trap. The emphasis on the mouths. Digging for gold. Oh my. Okay, let's see. Where is it? Oh, I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Night at the Hafla. Rush hour going the wrong way. Tiny town. Pop goes the mischief. Topsy-turvy, is that what that says? Topsy-turvy. Okay. Seeing something from different perspectives, maybe. Jailbirds. And then the court cards. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed both the reading. And I know sometimes, pretend readings, they're fine for learning. I think they are, but there's just something better, about a real reading. Of course, I'm at a disadvantage because I can't give real readings of any of my clients because that's not what I do, right? So I have to come up with, fictitious readings from my demonstrations, which is why I can't do them every day because I can't come up with all kinds of fictitious readings, But every now and then I throw in a reading for, that I would do for myself. And so that's what I did today. So I hope that's been instructive and helpful to you, and I hope you enjoyed this really fun deck. It's a very fun deck, and I'm kind of annoyed with myself that I haven't just been using it for myself because it is kind of fun. And until next time, friends, peace and stay well.